Yeah. Please, can you see my?
Yeah, please.
Yesterday where we left, do you have any challenge? Or is there any doubts that you want me to clarify?
Please, can you go over the while loops?
What?
The
While
while loops. Yeah.
okay. 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 Let's okay. So when it comes to the while loop, I think yesterday I told you it got to do with repetition, right? I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, for instance, I said if you want to maybe print maybe numbers, series of numbers, let's say one up to let's say 100. You can use print statement to print it one by one, but sometimes it becomes tedious. Okay, so in order to save yourself from that, you can automate it by using the while loop. Okay, so once you set the condition to the while loop will continue to execute until the condition becomes false. Then it stop. Okay, so for instance, I'm using this as an example. Now, this is before you start a while loop, there's uh, one important structure that you need to take note. While loop start with initial value, so you need to initialize it. Okay, for the statement to work, or let's say the condition to work. Let me put it that way. So, for instance, if I'm not going to use that, maybe I want to use straight away. Maybe I want to use true. I will start with this. Wow, and then I'm using the keyword true like this, depending on what I wanted to do. In this case, I don't need to use any initialized value because at this point, I'm saying that always the condition must be true. So there's nothing to guide it to turn it to false. If you get me right here. So in this is an infinite, something like it should run through always, unless maybe I'll trigger another code within that will cause this one to cut. Okay, but if I'm not going to use this and I'm going to use maybe a condition where I will maybe compare it to another, then I need to first initialize my value. So we call initialization key. So I may have initial value. So my initial value here can be maybe 0 because I wanted to print numbers from 0 to 100. So I need to initialize the value first. Now, once I'm given this one, then I can use the while, okay, to check the condition. So my condition will be while initial, so my initial, and then so while this one is, let's say, less or equal to, okay, 100. Okay, so in this case, I'm adding the 100. So it's going to check. So the moment you get to 101, it stop. Okay, it becomes false. So this while loop always use a boolean. Okay, and we already know what a boolean is. Boolean simply means true or false. So whilst it's true, the condition, the while loop will work. So while loop stop executing when it becomes false, when the condition becomes false. Okay, or when the boolean value turns to false. Let me put it that way. So now inside this, we call this I told you about the index. So this is an indent to make sure all my code fall within that space. So this is an indent. So now I can start with my statement. Okay, indented statement. So my indented statement here will be print. So I'm printing a number here. So I can print the number. Let me try to see. So let me put it simple. So that will be initial. Okay, so I'm printing the initial variable that I just did. So once this one is done like this, now to be able to let the cycle move on. So because if I want the cycle to move on, because this is static number, so in order to turn it to a dynamic, so that anytime it prints, it increase. So I need to add incremental. Okay, I need to add incremental value there so that the number will actually um, increase as it move on. So when you print the first one, you go another circle again. So it will be going circle till the condition here turns to false. So now my increment will be initial value because I still want to assign it to the same initial value. I don't want to use another variable so that my code will be just simple. So I will do initial value. So my initial will be assigned to initial plus 1. So I'm saying that anytime it goes run, so the first one it will print. So it come again, then initial will be 0 here. So to assign a new value to this, to update what is already here, I'll pick the same value that is from here and I'll add 1 to it and I'll assign it again. So I'm going to update what is here, making it what 1. Then when you move on again, once it gets here, I'm seeing that okay now it's 2. So what is here is 2. I'm going to update it with by adding 1 to this. So making our here will turn to what 3. So that's how the incremental will go through. So everything is done. So now from here we can now the same line of code. I can also write it in this way. You can also do this for a mature programmer will not do this for you because you don't understand, because we always try to avoid repetition, but I realize that I'm repeating myself initial, so we always try to avoid repetition. So instead of me doing something like this, I can put it this way. And see this one plus. So what I mean is that I'm using plus, that is initial, the same initial, and then I'm assigning 1, I'm adding 1 to that. Okay, so it means the same thing that I did. So I'm adding itself plus 1, addition of 1. So this, you can see this one in mature programmer code. This is what you see. The first one is just to tell you that this one is the same as that, because it's just a repetition. So you are adding it here and you assign the 1 to it. So that is what it means. So now with this line of code, I can now run. Then you can see that I have up to, I've just generated the numbers. Okay, so from 0 up to 100 based on the condition. You realize that when it got to 101, then it will be like 101 is what is false, because 101 can never, and 101 can never be what less than 100. So it terminates the loop, meaning that now the Boolean value here is false. So now I cannot continue to print. So it ends the whole loop. So we call this line, the one that you see here, this one is incremental. You can also do it for decremental. Maybe I've given a bigger value and I want to reduce it. So that will be a decrement. So let's go through something like that if I want to work on a decrement. So instead of my initial value here, I'm going to add, let's say, 100. So I'm going to print from 100 up to 0. Okay, so in this case, I'll write my while loop. So while 100, that is this one. Sorry, initial. While initial. So who can help me with the condition?
While initial is less than or equal to 100. Doesn't make sense.
While initial is what?
Less than or equal to 100.
Are you saying less than or equal to? Like this, less than or equal to?
Yeah.
Less than or equal to 100, like this. Is it
Yes,
true?
please.
Check the value.
The value is 100.
Yes.
Uh,
But we want to reduce it. Instead of me moving, though, I want to now print from 100 down to 0. So what statement will help the condition that will make this work? So if I use while this one, while initial is greater than or equal to 0, I hope you get it.
okay.
You get it, because
Yeah.
it should, so it will stop when it tends to what? When it gets to, the condition becomes false when it tends to
0, please.
no. When it tends to negative.
Okay.
Because it's
Yeah.
going to reduce. So when it tends to negative, then it becomes what?
False.
False. I hope it's clear.
Yeah.
So this one is just a simple mathematics. So now with this one, you can now run your code. So from here, I can print this one out. Okay, so what I'm printing is the initial value. Initial. Okay, so when I get to this side, now I can also do one thing by what? Checking my what? This time is going to be not incremental, but it will be what? Decremental. So I have my init. So it should be decreased. I hope it's clear. So
Yeah.
it will be like initial assigned to initial minus one. I hope you get it. But this is the mature way of writing. So you do because it's the same initial, so you don't need to repeat yourself. Avoid repetition. So now with this one, I'll go down here and then count down again. Now you can see that I started printing from what? 100. But when you go to 0, it stops based on the condition. Okay, so you see that there's 100, then 99, and down up to 0, then it stops because when you enter -1, it becomes what? False, because the condition is that initial should be greater or equal to 0. We did not say initial should be greater or equal to -1. I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay. So with the same thing, you can also use, for instance, maybe I want you to be entering some data. So maybe I just want to say be enter numbers. Let me put this one, enter numbers. So we can give an input value here. So here we have what we call int. Now anything like you want user interactive, like want end user to interact with your system, we use the keyword int. Sorry, input. Okay, so I have this input. So this input means that I can now interact with the end user. I can prompt. So we call this one prompt. So you prompt somebody to enter information. All that we were doing is hard code. So now here you can prompt user. It is same as you using the print out, input, accept data. So now, for instance, we want to interact with the system. Say maybe enter number here. Okay, so anything that comes from input function comes as a string. Okay, anything that comes from input function comes as a string. Let me show you. So we don't need a string, we want a number. So I need to change it. So now if you see that you ask me enter number, so now I can put in, let's say 4. Okay, but if I print this one, it's not going to come as 4. So let's see that I want to actually check what I'm getting out. Okay, so for instance, I want to print, let's say, let me do print out. Print. So I'm printing type, and the type I'm printing. Oh, so what? I'm printing type. and the type I'm printing is the number. So anything that comes from input function counts as a string. Okay. So now you can see here, what is here is showing as a string, even though I entered what a number, but it's showing here as what a string. But I needed a number, so to do the number, we needed to what cast it. I hope you remember casting.
Yes.
Okay, so I need to cast it by using the int method. Okay, so int object here to do that. So instead of me coming straight from this line here, I will cast this one out so that whatever that will come out will not be a string. So I'll cast it out by using int. Okay, so now with this one, if I enter a number here, which is 4, and then I will check the type that I just did, it will now come out as what type. So now you can see that it will show as integer. So now it's integer. So now I want to use the integer to work. So what I wanted to do is that I want this one to continuous to be showing for me to be adding. Okay. So for instance, I can use it to do a simple calculation. You can use it to do whatever that you want to do so that your program will keep on running. So I'm going to use just a simple calculation, okay, just to see that, okay, you want to add the numbers. So I can say add number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay, so we can just start a simple calculator. So that's what I want to do. So now that you've gotten the idea, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to work on a simple calculator. So this one is going to be number 1. Okay, or I like using the underscore just to differentiate it. Number 1. So I'm going to repeat the same code. Going to repeat the same code here. Okay, so this time I'm going to use number 2. So I've created 2 variables, okay, by using the input function. So anytime I call them, it's going to add me to, so number 2. So enter number. Okay, so just to save ourselves from our this thing, let me actually do something. So here I'll say enter first number. Okay, so okay, enter number 1. Let me do that so that we will get a difference, so you understand what we are doing. So enter number 1. Okay, so I'll go. So now here I will put in enter number 2. Okay, so now you could see that this one that I've done here, anytime I call number underscore 1, it's going to give me that interface. Okay, now you can see that the initial value is there. The initial value is there. So it just give me the initial value that I just gave it. Okay. So I've already initialized that. If I call number underscore uh, number underscore 1, that is also going to give me a number. Okay, sorry. Number underscore 2. That's also going to give me a number. So you can see my initial value that I've done. So now I'm going to use the while loop. Okay. So now let's go. So now I'll type the while loop. And then this time I'm not going to use like all the condition that I'll use is just true, a boolean value. So while true, okay, then I'll come in here and then put in my condition. So I can just write I'm just doing addition, just a simple thing that I'm working on. So now I'm going to write in number. So what the number that I just did? Number, okay, let's see, total. Or let's use the word sum. Total or sum total. Okay, let's see, addition. I think that would be better. So I have addition here, and I'll assign addition to number underscore 1 plus number underscore 2. Okay. So now here I can print my addition. Okay. So now here I'm going to, because I want this code to run and run again. So now I'm going to continue by adding this line of code and seeing that number underscore 1 assigned to int. Then I will put in my input function. So instead of that, I will say, just to differentiate what I just did, say enter number again, enter number 1 again. So I'll see enter number 1. Again, and then I'll come to here and I'll put in enter. So here I'm putting number underscore 2, and this time too I'll write the same line of code. So input and this side I'll put in enter number 2 again. Okay. So with this, So now you could see that the first one just did the addition because you realize that the first one input in what did we input?
4.
4 and 2. So you realize that give us the total. Okay. Then it came again because with the loop, still using the while loop. So it shows that I put in the number. So maybe I'll put in 2 and then it asks me enter number 2 again. I'll put in maybe 7. Okay. Then you realize that it gave me the result. Then it shows the enter. So this is how you can show, but you see that because the condition is true, it's still working. So maybe I can just write another code and make it go false. Okay, by maybe putting another one, but we will get the focus is for you to understand the while loop. So with this one, I can do my addition. I can just add, let's say next one 20, then just show me 28, and it will keep on. So maybe I hot it. I hope it's clear with the while loop. So just for repetition, just to help you be able to automate whatever that you want to. Is it okay now?
Yeah. Please, with what you just did, what's the condition? Is it the fact that the numbers should be like integers?
Which one?
The one you just did, the while true addition equals number underscore 1 plus number underscore 2.
Oh no, this just this the condition is here. What making everything work is the while true. Okay.
So my point
Mhm.
is, if they are not integers, will it be false?
No, if they are not integers, it will throw an error. It will
Error.
not affect the true. Just it throw an error because you can't add. For instance, if maybe it's a string and I'm doing it, maybe it will not throw an error because it will just concatenate it by joining it. So instead of me giving me the right value, it will just join for me. So instead of maybe this one being 28, it can just join. Instead of here being 9, it can say 27. Do you get it?
Okay.
Because I hope you remember the concatenation sign this class.
Yes, please.
Yes, so it's not going to throw an error. Based on what that we've done before, I think the new addition that I've added is the input function. Okay, input function just to give me the interface for me to be entering some value, just like what it prompts. That's what I've added. Okay, but I think the rest, we've gone through all of them, the int and all those things. That this one, that's why I said it's callable. Yesterday, I even mentioned some of the collables, the int, the string, then all this. Now, I hope you still remember.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the while loop. I'm okay with it.
but don't worry because if you don't understand the int and all those input and all those, no problem. Just that I want you to know that we use the input function to prompt for data. Okay, so if maybe you are familiar with the, when you start, I don't know, maybe your school, they started treating that to you. We call this algorithm. Do you know algorithm?
Yes.
What is algorithm?
Basically, okay. I know it as something like a method for doing something.
Yeah. So it's a step-by-step process you go through to do something. And know that everything in computing, you need to go through a process, step-by-step process. So computer, through the computer system with the steps, procedure where the computer will go through. So you tell that maybe first and do this, next this. So that is the algorithm. So it's a step-by-step process. And to be able to put algorithm together, that's what we call a flow chart. I hope you know the flow chart. You've heard about flow charts.
Yes, but I don't know what it is though.
So the flowchart simply is the pictorial representation of maybe your algorithm. So you need to be in the diagram form, your flowchart, maybe from here, then all those stuff. Okay. So for instance, let me go a flowchart for you. So that is the pictorial representation. Let's say flow. So you could see this is the flowchart. You can see this is the flowchart. So everything that you will be doing, you need to go through that. So the process is the algorithm, and when you get your algorithm right, maybe you are developing a system, and this is how your system is going to work. You so all those processes are your algorithm. Okay, then you need to put it a plan. So this is where the logic comes in. So maybe you start then decision. So we use this symbol for decision, the diamond for decision, and the over here for start. We use the over to end the program. So where that you see here, these are decision. That's where you use the if conditions and all those things. So this is where the logic comes in. So if maybe you are not doing something, move to like yesterday I just send you a message. So if you are not moving, maybe you will do something. Okay, so that is the condition. So the computer will follow that. So if this is false, then it move on to this. So we call this one flow chart. Okay, so this is a pictorial representation of what do you want to do, and it's based on your algorithm. Okay, that is the process, your step by step that you want to go through that. Okay, so you could see this the algorithm symbols. We have decision, so we use this one for decision. We use this for processing. Okay, so all your processing, like maybe my addition, the coding, whatever that you want, calculation, everything is a process. So you use this one, and then you see this one. This one, the rainbow sign here. This one you see this one is for input and output. So your print and your caption. So this is where you prompt the end user. So like what I just gave you, I just did. I just prompt. So here you add prompt, enter data, print out data. So you use this symbol for that. Okay. So these are only things that you need to know. So decision diamond. Then you have your trapezium here. Trapezium is for input output. Then you have your triangle here. That is the process. Rectangle, sorry, rectangle here. That is for the process. Then you have your over. This one is for start and end. So these are the four symbols that you use when you come to learning of flow charts. And I believe once you are learning and want to work on a project, you need to know how to put your flow chart, how to write, and you also need to understand algorithm. So gotten an idea, you want to come out with it. So you document everything. So that will be your algorithm. And then based on your algorithm, you can now develop your flow chart. So if you give this flow chart to a developer, he will just follow and develop your system for you. Because if you now you understand and be able to come out with your flow charts, like how the whole system will work. Okay, so once you give it to a developer and make the work easy. So I will just follow every step. And it's the same as um and who's doing civil engineering, architecture, design. So when you get your design, they give you the building plan. Then you as a developer, you take it and now you can what develop. You build the same as the plan is. I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So that is the difference. So the input that I use here is part of it. So we call that prompt. Okay, so prompt that you prompt the end user to put in all those information. So those ones, if you don't understand, don't worry. I think as time goes on, you get to know most of these things. Okay, it's not difficult. Like the simple one, you just your free time, you can just go through some of them and see how you will understand them. It's not difficult to get those things. Okay, so now let's move on to today's word. What we want. So the next thing I want us to work on is the what we call exception um, handling or handling exception. Okay, so why do we need to handle exception? Do you have any idea why do we need to handle exception in a program? Why? Do you understand the word handling exception? Have you that anyway?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Please,
Yeah.
to my hello.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I said to my understanding, I think that we handle exceptions so that they will not interrupt our, coding systems to cause errors and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That is true. So to avoid errors, okay, you need to capture exception. Somebody can just enter into your system and throw an error. So as a developer, you need to put in measurement to handle all those kind of cases that might happen in your system. So once those things happen, you've already provided a provision to cater for that. Okay, so that is handling exception. Okay, so in Python or other programming, we have the structure. But here in Python, what we do is we use the keyword try, except, else, and final. Okay, so what does the try block do? So the try block is where your actual code that you do will go in. So maybe my block of application, your code, whatever that you want, it will go in the try block. So you put all like what I just wrote. Every code will come into the try block. Then exception is where you capture for in case on uncertainty happen. Okay, so that is where you will be able to handling that. Okay, so when those things happen, you need to handle it in that way. Okay, so that's what we have here. And the else part is if there is no exception, then the else part is if there is no condition there. And when it's final means that the information that is there will always print out. Okay, so even if there's an exception error, still the final statement will be executed. Okay, so these are what you need to know when it comes to exception. So we have the exception, we have the else, we have the final, and the final is sometimes is optional. It's not always that you need to write it, but if you want, you can put it. So sometimes you can check some code, you will not see the final, okay, but then you see the try, except, and then the else. Sometimes you might not also see the else, but only see the try and except. Okay, so those things are handy. So these are the two things that you handle. You see the try and except clause. Okay, so that's what you mostly you may see. Okay, so depending on what exactly you are working on. Okay, so that is the try block, and then we will also have. You can also use it to also handle uh, file. So maybe I have a file on my computer, and then I want to open it. We also use the width. So we use the width to be able to handle exception. So width, what it does is automatically it will close everything that you. Okay, so let's try some practicals. Maybe that will give you fair understanding of what I'm seeing here. So after this class, you can take your time and then go through this. Okay. So with the try block, let's check one or two examples. Okay, so we start with the keyword try. Okay, and every code is supposed to be in that block. Okay, so these are supposed to do. So I'll start with a simple program by saying maybe results, and then I'll assign result to, let's see, 10 divided by 0. Now, in mathematics, 10 divided by 0, what normally do you get in mathematics? Let's forget about programming. In mathematics, 10 divided by 0.
Math error.
What?
Math error.
Why?
Yeah, it's it's undefined.
It's undefined. It's undefined
Yeah.
because there's no way you can divide 0 by, because 0 does in space, 0 doesn't exist. Okay. So if there's something that doesn't exist, how do you divide it? Do you get it? So it's impossible. Okay, so that is what happened. But if something like that happened in your code, how do you handle that? So for instance, so this is what we know that is throw an error. So based on something like this, you place this code in the try block. So the try block will handle that for you. And then the message that you want to give out, okay, will come out. Okay, for instance, if we try this code without a try block, you will see the message that you receive. But we don't want that message to come to the end user, because with the end user, to be something, let's see something here. If I try this code to the end user, let's see, as a developer, and someone pick your code and it sees something like this. So here I will just say 10 divided by 0. And you see here, what do you see here? Is 0 division error. That is a division by 0. So it tells you that it's an error, but you don't want the end user to see something like this. Okay, so now the error message that we are going to capture is this one, the 0 division. So 0 division error. So this is the keyword that we use. Okay, so this is the keyword that we use. So if I come here now, in my except part, I'm going to use that to handle it. So I will write except, and then I'll put in what? 0 division what? Error. So I'll start with 0 division error. So with my 0 division error, I can save 0 division error as E. So instead of me writing all these 0 division error again, I just want to represent it with what? E. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, so now I'll have my indent here. So the message, what I want to print it out, I want to print it within this space. So now here I'll come to the block, this block, the exception block. And now with my exception block, I'll write the message that I want the end user to see. So with this one, I can just put in a message. So let me use the formatting string. Maybe you don't understand formatting string, just to format my work in such a way that I can be able to put in other values. So now put in error. So that is exactly what happened. Okay. And then my error message, I will put in my E. That is what will come here. So Python is going to give me a nice message. Okay, I don't want to write it myself. So by picking the exception message here, I'll assign this. So Python will pick this one for me at this line. Okay, so with this one, you can now move on. So for instance, if in case the error message here, nothing happened, then we can move on to the try block, or maybe the else block, because here the try block with structure, the else means that assuming nothing happened, then we can print what is here. So I could have my else. So with the else part, what am I doing? I'm now going to print this one. So I can say print. I will still use my formatting string. So here I'll print here results. So my result will be this one, the one that we define here. So I'll put in a placeholder. So my placeholder, I will just type in result. Okay, so this is what will happen. Okay, so now when, assuming here I see 10 divided by 10, it means that it will not check the exception because there's no error. So it will come to the else part. Now it will print this one for me. Now we will see the funnel. Go with the funnel one, you can just put in anything that you want to put in. So this is the structure I want to finally. Then I can put in another message and say maybe clean up resources or whatever that you want to put. So I can say print, and then I'll put in let's say cleaning up resource. Okay, so this exactly, so this is the try which capture whatever thing that you are doing. So you put everything in your try, then you check if any error occurs. So one of the error that I'm checking is zero division error. So and then I will save it at E. Okay, now I can print my E in the placeholder by using the formatting string to print it, so to format it nicely. And if there's no error, I can move to the else block and then print whatever that I was doing. Okay, so that is it. So if I come here and then you see that I have what, the message, and the message is from here, and it gave me what, division by 0. So this division by 0 here, I'm picking it directly from Python. Okay, so I don't want the end user to see all this information like this one that is here. So we just want to clean everything up, like all these ones will not come. So I just want this one, the zero division error. Then it gives me the message which what, division by 0. So that is what you see here. It came here. So the final one, I just want to tell you that cleaning up resources. Okay. I hope it's clear.
No, please, can you go over again?
Okay. So the basic thing that we want to take note is try. Okay. So when you want to, the try part is where you put all your code in there. Okay. Your code in there to try whatever that you want. Okay. So that is the try block. Now we have the exception. Exception is where you capture your exceptional error. So there are different exception errors that we might be encountering. Okay, for instance, if I have another one, let's say we can, let me give another, let's say I create let's take something like this. I have number. Okay, I'm going to give another type of error. I have a number here, and then I'll use int, and then this time I'm going to use the input function, and I'll place in enter number. Okay, so enter number here. It's expecting me to enter number, but this time I'll enter Kim. Instead of number, I've just key in a string. So now, what do you see here? What do you see here?
Value error.
Value error. So if I'm going to use, I'll just check this one in my exception block. Okay, so in case something like that happen, there is give you this message, only this message that invalidly try for the int, whatever that you are seeing here. Then it tells you that please then give you what exactly you need to know that hey, you are not supposed to enter that. Okay, if in that case you are picking directly from Python, what exactly Python is giving, and I'm seeing that in that this is what we do. So you write the keyword exception. So these are the things you need to know. Try. So the whole thing is your try first, then exception. Then with the exception, you type the type of error. Like if it's maybe zero division error, this exceptional error, there are a lot there. You can just get a lot of exceptional error, but here just want to explain to you. So anytime you get those, you can get all this one from Python. So this is zero division error. In case you are dividing something by 0, and then you get this error, then you can put that one here and save as maybe E. So it means that you want to print that this one is a placeholder. Now formatting, because I want to print the E, but I also want to add a description to the E saying there is an error. I need to place in the formatting. So call this formatting. You could also use the other formatting like we learned, like this one. Format, if you remember this. So in that case, you place your placeholder there. Your placeholder will be where you want to print. So like here, and then you put in the sign. So now only the E that want to come here. So I'll put the E there wherever I want it to be, and then I'll place that. But I don't want to use. So this one, there's another way to do that is the F string, and this is common. Now you see this one in most code like than this one. Okay, so I'm using this one just to formatting my string, so I can just add a description to it, and then after that the variable. So the variable that you want, you can print the variable direct, but now if you are using the F string here, you place your variable in the placeholder. Okay, so that's what you see here, a placeholder. Then I'll place my variable like this variable E. This is a variable E inside that. Now, if I want to print this one at the else block, I also use a description. I want a description for the results, what it means. So now I'll use my string format, and then I have my description here. And what exactly I'm printing out from the variable, I'll place it in the placeholder, okay, so that it will come out nicely. So all that you need to do is that your try, except these are the main two things. And then if you want to add else, depending on what you are doing, and then finally this one too is also optional, okay, because it will always run at any moment, it will run. Okay, okay, so let's take another example, so maybe you get it very well. So okay, so another example that I'm going to do, so this time I'm going to use the input function, like what I just did for you. I believe now you understand the input function, right?
Yes, please.
So now we try. Okay, so this is my try block. So always we start with try, then the code will be inside your try block. So now what I wanted to do will be inside my try block. So I have here value. I'm going to provide a value to this, and then I will assign the value to something. Okay, so what I'm assigning the value, I want the value to be integer, so I need to cast it. And I want to end user, I don't want to do hard code like the one we did here. This is called hard code. So I just press the system, set it that way. So we call this hard coding. I don't want the hard coding. So now I want to prompt the end user to input the data themselves. So to be able to do that, I need to do it in this format. So now here I use the input from the end user to enter information. So here, this is just a description. So I need to put it in a string. Okay. So now here I'll put in the information that I want to put in. So I can say maybe enter a number. Okay. So enter a number. Okay, so this is what I want the end user to do, to enter a number. So that is what. So in this case, if the end user forget to enter a number, what do you think will happen? Maybe instead of number, then the end user placing a string. What do you think will happen?
Like value error. I will give
Value,
an error message.
it will raise a value error. Okay, so that is what will happen here. So here, 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 I'll write what may raise value error. I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
So this I just commented, so nothing will happen to that. So now we want. So now I want to add another one. So in this case, I want to just do a simple calculation. So let's say result. Okay, and then the result I will put in a number. So maybe I'll type maybe 10 divided by value. Okay, so in this case, if I enter 0, what will happen to this line? If you prompt me for value and I enter 0, what will happen to this line?
Zero division error.
Zero division error. So zero division error will come. So here I can just put my comment there. Okay, and say zero division Sorry, error. Okay, so now this is where we've captured what we want to do in our try. So now we need to go to exception where we want to handle the error, that key. Okay, so in case something like this come. Okay, so now I'm going to use the keyword what? Except. Okay, so when you have the keyword except here, now you realize that in this case, I'm having two kind of errors. So I need to take care of these two errors. Okay, so the first one that I encountered was what? Was what? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, what was the first error that we encountered?
The value error.
The value error. So I'll put that one here. So I'll put that one here. That will be my value error. Okay, and then the next one will be, what will be the next one?
The zero division error.
Zero division error. So that is zero division error. Okay, so these are the two possible errors that I may encounter. So now I will come here and say what? As what? E. So that I can just, instead of me writing all these things, I don't need. So now everything here, whatever you see here, will be as E. But at each point, maybe one might, okay. So you see what's what? E. Now you can now come here and write the message, what exactly you want to write. So that one supposed to be in the except block. So now I can say print, and then I want to use the L formatting string. So I'm using the L formatting string. So instead of here, I can say error, okay. Let me use and. Let me use and. So let's say an error. Okay, so now that I have this, then I need to place my error message in a placeholder. Okay. I hope is that okay. Do you understand now? Okay. So let's look at like, okay, let me make here small letter. Okay. So with this now, I can place everything in the placeholder. Okay, so my placeholder, that would be the E, that's the variable here inside my placeholder. So this one is just a description of telling me what this one stands for. Okay, so with this, I'm done with this line. Okay, so now we can move on to the else part. So you could see that we started with try, then we come to except, then we check individual errors that month. Okay, then we move to maybe now the else part is maybe I want to print out the results in case nothing happened. Okay, so I'll come to else. and then I'll put in my code. So here I'm printing the result. Okay, so I'll see print. I still want to use the format string. So I'll see results. So what do I have here? I'll place this one in a placeholder. That's the variable here, okay, which is result. Okay, so from here I'll just go down. Okay, now I can add the funnel. Like I said, that one is what is not mandatory. So maybe I wanted to, if I said anytime you run, the funnel will run, will print it out. So whether error occurs or what, funnel will always print. So my funnel I will print something like, let's say, end of program. Let's use end of program. Okay, so this just a simple program that we've written. So when here that is to add enter number. So if I key in 0, then you could see that it gave me that error. An error occurred, and what type of error? Division by 0. Okay, because at that point that is 1 that has occurred. Okay, let's do another one. By end of program is that is the from the funnel. Now let's go back again, and then this time so uh because I've just saved this one, so but I hope you've gotten the understanding.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so those one don't worry about. So that is the base. So assuming that I also did for 1, and then maybe I did, and then the result will come. But because this one I'm writing everything in the command prompt, so I need to run over again and stuff. So because I also did not save what I did. If like I save everything in maybe a variable something, I can call that variable, and then everything will get the variable name and every code here will come. But I didn't do that, so it's just there. So once you've gotten the understanding, that is fine. Okay, that's what that this exception is all about. But when it comes to the exception, there are different ways that we can write the exception block. Okay, so one way is what I've shown you, just that you are picking every error message uh, from Python itself. Okay, there's another way that you can also do the same thing. Okay, so let's look at that. So in that case, I'm not going to take any information from Python. Okay, but then I will write a message, something there, and say maybe error has occurred or something. But this one, I will just tell you that you don't need to be using that. Okay, just for explanation purpose. So the same line of code that we just wrote, let's go. So now I just went through this, the value, and then it's still giving me error. So let's write the code. So now with this is a simple code that I want us to. So here I'm writing this line of code. So with this line of code, what I'm going to do is that instead of the exception block here, I'm going to write my own without using the message that is coming from Python itself. Okay, so that is the different what I'm going to do now. But apart from that, everything is the same. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one 10 divided by 0 so that it will just be easy for us. So I'll save this one to results. Okay, so now I'll move on to my exception part. So with my exception part, I'll just write the keyword except. So I have my except. So that is the keyword except. And then I'll put in my except message. So instead of me taking anything from Python, I don't want to do that. So now here, I'll just write my exception message and say maybe print. Oh, sorry. I did 10 divided by, I just want to use 0, sorry. So I want to write a result assigned to 10 divided by 0. Okay. So put me my except block, and then now I'll write my message. So the message that I'll put in is very simple. Just write a simple message that maybe something went wrong. Okay, so I'll just say print. So something went wrong. So that is the message I just put in. And then I can put in my funnel, but that one is it's not mandatory. So finally, I can say end program. So I will say end program. Oh, sorry. Sorry, okay. But I hope you've gotten the idea. Hello. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I instead of me doing this thing, see what I just I didn't check the indent well, so I left the indent like that. So through an error. So go to let it come. That is nice. But let's write it again. No problem. Please check it for me in case there's any 10 divided by 0. Except, then I'll just print a message here. Print something went wrong. Then I can put it final. Then I'll say print and program. So you could see that something went wrong, but how will you know what went wrong? So mostly you don't need to try this kind of things. Just be specific what exactly happened. So in case maybe you have more errors to handle, where will you know that there's something went wrong, which line that you put? So just to save yourself from that, just avoid using something like this. Okay. I hope it's clear.
Yes. Please. So the whole point of the handling of exceptions is to what's the whole point? Is it to like overwrite what Python would have given you if you like you were to input something like what you did right now?
No, handle exception, the whole error is, idea is, some error message might be unpleasant to the end user. You as a developer, and when you see those error message, like what I just shown you here, when you see something like this, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay, but end user systems like it look like your program is not maybe sometimes they can tell you your program has been hacked. Do you get it?
Uh,
So
yes,
to save
please.
yourself from this message from Python to come like this, that is, you will pick it and show it in a nice way that the person will understand that, oh, because of this I did that this thing came. Do you get
Oh,
it?
okay.
So that's
Yeah.
the handling exception comes in, so that you don't give information that is unpleasant to the end user. But you as a developer, this one is good for you because give you idea and know that okay, I need to go to this line and check. Like here, it will tell you line 1. Okay, model. You don't the end user doesn't need all this one. But you
Okay.
can just present it nice way for the end user. I hope it's
Okay.
clear.
Okay. Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay. So that is handling exception. So those one that just came here, you realize that there's zero division error or the variable error, you're able to present it in a nice way, okay, by using this one, and it came in a nice way for us, okay. And I'm seeing that instead of we picking from, let's say, Python, let's say, picking from the zero division error, what will come, maybe value error, what will come, and then present it in a nice way, you can also decide not to go by that. So instead of the exception, then you write your own message. Then, like what I just did, that something went wrong. So, but then sometimes it doesn't help because we don't know exactly what went wrong. So, if I just say something went wrong to the end user, how will the person know that okay, because of this what I did, that's why I got this error. But when say something error, something went wrong, you leave the person in doubt, like you need to be thinking like okay, what went wrong, like you need to ask more questions to find out okay what went wrong. But if I'm able to specify and say that okay, because you entered this number, that's why you had an error, the person will know that oh, maybe you can't use this, so you need to use maybe string only. you can't enter in a integer, let's say a string, only number only. I hope you get it. So that one is
Yes.
meaningful to the end user, so that you know that, oh, I can't enter anything unless I use only numbers. The system accepts only numbers. So the end user will know that, okay, so here like this, I can, instead of seeing that something went wrong, I can also put in that you cannot divide by 0. Okay, so that when the end user see you cannot divide by 0, they know that, oh, because I did divided by 0, that's why I had an error. Okay, so but then don't just write something like something went wrong without specifying exactly what happened. I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's look at another one. Another one that we also need to look at. Maybe we can also do this in manual, like what example that we get through. I can also write exceptional errors manually. Okay, so let's look at maybe how to write an exceptional error manually. So I'm going to define maybe a simple function, and then we look at that. So in the same program, I'll come here and write this. So this, I'm going to define a function. How if I use def, now you know what def is,
Yes,
right?
please.
Okay, so let's say def check age. Okay, so this is a function that I'm using. So I'm going to have an agreement for age. Okay, so this argument called age, I'm going to use that one here, and then I'm going to place my everything there. Okay, so with this one, instead of me starting straight from maybe try, want to finish with my function. Okay, so indeed my function, I can check for error, okay, to see that if there's an error message that I needed to look at. So if I want to check for something, we use the if condition to be able to check for that. So I can use the if condition and say if age, okay, so if age is less than 0, I hope you know it. If age is less than 0, then we can deal with that. Okay, so if age is less than 0, okay, so we can deal with that. So now if age is less than 0, we can raise exception error. So what we'll do is that you raise an error here. So now I'm going to raise exceptional error and say raise. So this is another keyword. This one is the same. So instead of you have try, except, and then we have else, we have final. Another one is raise. Okay, so this one you can use it internally in a program. So I'll raise exception. So now I can say raise. What do I want to raise? I want to raise what? Value error. Okay, so I'm raising value error, and then inside that I can write my message and say that it cannot be what? If you check this one, what do I trying to say? Like check the condition. So what message do you think I should write there? If you check the condition.
I'm
If you check,
asking, but
if you check this one, what message do you think I need to write? Like age less than 0. You can see we are talking about negative, right?
Please. Yes, please.
Yeah. So now you can write a message here just to let the user know. Okay. So now here I can write age. Age can it cannot be negative. So age cannot be negative. Okay. So that is the message. So with this one, I'll check that one first. Then from there, so if the age is negative, it's going to throw that error. Then if maybe what will enter here is not in negative column, then it will come to the next point and then print. So now here I want to print. So that I'm going to print my message. So let's see. I'm using the formatting string. So here I will enter age. The age is, so now I'll place my age in my placeholder by using age. Okay. So that is a simple function that I've just written. So now I can check everything using my try block. So if I come to my try, say try, so that's where I'm going to call my function here. So I'll place this one in my try block and then say check. So check underscore age, and then I'll put in the value because here it can accept age. So I'll put in -5. Okay. So within -5, I'll come here and now I need to check for my error. So what are the error that I needed to check for? I need to check for what? Exception. Okay, so I'll come here and say exception. So sorry, instead of me writing except, okay, so I'll check for my except, and then the except what I'm putting in what valued what error. So just one that I'm checking value. So my value error, sorry, here. So once I have this one, I needed to save as what? E. Okay, so now I can print my message. So I will say print. What are you printing? F function. So I'll put in a message. Let's say error as a description, and then place everything in my placeholder. The E. So now what I just did, because I raised here a value error here, if I want everything to be printed from here, so now I'm calling the exception value, so that is going to work with this. Okay, so that's what is happening here. So in this case, what we are doing is that we are trying to check everything manually. So just that we are, so now we see that the message came. Age cannot be negative. Okay, but age cannot be negative. It's not from the exception here. Okay, so here at this point, it's not going to give me the message that exceptional error is supposed to give me. So if you check here, like here, when you check here, the exceptional error can give you this message like invalid literal or something. No, because I have already written a function just to raise that message myself. So now raise exceptional error. So now what I've done is I've updated what I've override the Python or default message by raising my own value error message. So once I call within value error here, now not the Python itself one, but the one that I've raised here will come. Okay, I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is how you can be working with all this stuff. It's very important that you take note of this things. And I think the more you practice, the better the understanding also will come. Okay, so don't figure it like it's difficult. It's not difficult. So just after this session, I'll try my best and upload it so you can have access to them. Okay. If there's any doubt somewhere, can you let me know? So I can. There's something where you don't get it, I need to throw light on. I don't want to start something new because almost the time is up. So if there's something that you think I need to. Okay, so I'll be okay now.
Yes,
Christian,
please.
Christian, are you okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we will end here today. I think now the last part maybe I may decide to talk about was the I think I've been all this one. Yeah, I try except as the final episode. And yeah, I think so. Let's look at here. Okay, so okay, a final one is we also use with far. You can see here with open far. So with open far, what we use it for? Maybe you have a file on your desktop folder or a test file or something that you want to open. So we can have a code that you will be able to use to open. So let's say with open file. So when you use the wait, like the wait here, automatically when you open a file, you need to close the file. But with open here, automatically will close the file for you. So you can say with open, then your file that you want to open, and the mode will be if it's a text file or whatever that you want to open. Okay, so that will be so my open here will be, let's say it will be like read, it will be like stuff. So R may be for read and stuff, W for write and stuff. So based on what exactly you want to, so that will come here. And you save as what a test variable, so a test name. So like the way we did for the exception, the same as a test name, and then that will help you to write. So for instance, for now we don't have any variable whatever that we want to open. But let me take this opportunity to just walk you through. Okay, so with this, I'm just going to use the wait function. So we use the wait to open a file, but automatically once the file is open, you need to close it. So wait will close it for you. So you don't need to worry yourself to write another code to close it. So assuming maybe you forgot to close it, then it's going to help cause some error somewhere or cause a memory leakage somewhere. So I have here with, we will get to file handling stuff so you understand it better. So now here you use the word with open. So we use this open function to open a file. Okay, and then your file type. So for instance, if here I want to open a test file, so let's use example dot txt. Okay, so that is txt, which is test file, and then I have to check for what do I want to do, that the mode. Maybe I want to just read the file. So if I want to read the file, my mode will be R. R is for read. Okay, so my mode will be for R. Okay, so that will be for the mode. Then when you are done with this like this, you need to save as a file. Okay, so now you can say as, let's say, file, like maybe the variable name I want to give like file. So now you put this, and then all your code should be in the indent. So now you write your code. So my code that I want to write is maybe I can say content. I can see content and then assign it to. So now I'm going to use my file dot read. Okay, to read the file. So this one is going to read the content for me. This read module is going to read. So everything here will be moved to this variable. Now I can read this and also assign it to content. So if I print content like this, to give me everything within the text file. Okay, so with this one, I don't need to close anything. I don't need to close anything. Okay, I don't need to close anything. Now you could see that I had an error because you see here no search file in or directory, so I don't have the file. Okay, so definitely you get that error because I don't have this. So you can see that the file is not found. I don't have it. I just want to explain it to you. Okay, so that is what you can do. And if I want to open the file directly, so instead of me using the wait, I'm not going to use the wait. So I'm using the file directory. So I can say maybe file, okay, as a variable, and then I'll use the open function. So you can see that this is my open function, and I'll open my file in there. So the file that I needed to open is the example. So now I'll come here, example dot txt. Okay, and then I'll come here and see read. So now I'll use the R. Okay, so you can see that I've already assigned this one to this. So now with this one, you can see that it will still throw an error for me. Okay, because I don't have it. So they're already going to do another. So now I can place all these files within a try and catch block. So I can write a try block and place everything within that. So I can write the try block like this. Now inside my try block, I will place the file in there. So I can see content like what you just wrote, and then I'll assign it to, now I'm going to pick the file. So I will see that file, because everything went to file dot read. So file dot read. So that is file dot read. So it is the same as what we were doing there. So file dot read. So what I want to do is that now I can print my message. So I can print this one. You can see print content. So this is going to print everything, that information that I have saved inside example.txt. Okay, it will print everything for me to see. Now, once you are done with it, because we are using it directly, we did not use the wait function. you need to close it. So you need to close that far. So now I can close it by using the funnel. So let's say I can use the finally. So once I'm done using it finally, I can now see close. So I can see far. That is the far that I just open at the top. Dots close. Okay. So in this case, I've closed that. But do you need to go through all these things? You don't need to go through all that. So you can see that it's telling me that the far does not exist because we don't have the far. But just to do the explanation for you. Okay, so these are some of the things that you needed to do. So if you use the weight, okay, open, it make it easy. You don't need to think of closing the file after opening it. But if you did not then open it directly like the way we did here, then at the end of the day, you need to also close the file. Okay, I hope it's clear. So that's what is here. That with file management and all this information. That is it. So tomorrow we will go into starting this. I think today I example for you to see the input function. So you all know the input function. You know what to use the input function. We know them and stuff. So I think it's going to make the work also easy for us. Okay, so thank you very much for your contribution and attention. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.